Teens boxed in my car at the store. One noticed to move, and a dashcam clip flipped the room and forced a tow in fresh, no-stopping paint. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a story. When a pack of teenagers boxed my car in at the grocery lot and chanted insults, I had two choices I know by heart: feed the anger or feed the paperwork. It was late on a Friday, heat still clinging to the asphalt, and I was bone-tired from a long week that had stretched past promise into ache. The driver angled, and so close our mirrors kissed. 3 doors popped and laughter spilled out like dropped cutlery. A girl lifted a phone to record my face the way you photograph a zoo animal. I stared at my own reflection in her black screen and saw how easy it would be to give them the clip they wanted. My fingers found the center console and not the horn. I opened the camera instead and took a wide shot of their sedan across my bumper, plate, and stall lines clean in frame. Artifact 1. A time-stamped photo that does not blink. I also tapped the store app and pulled up a small page titled Parking Policy, then screen captured the clause about blocking access. Artifact 2. Policy excerpt with the logo. The boy by the rear door tried a slow clap. I swallowed the comeback, itching my tongue, and tried the door. No room. The rubber seal kissed their paint and stayed there. I could muscle free across a curb and trade paint for pride, or I could start a chain that would not need my temper. I dialed the non-emergency number, gave location and description, and asked for a patrol sweep, then photographed the call screen so time would match the photo. Artifact 3. Call log. I walked inside and asked for a manager, because managers own lots the way captains own decks. She brought out a clipboard labeled incidents, a felt tip that squeaked, and a calm that cut the night in half. I set my phone on the counter and let the photo do the talking while the teenagers performed outside, shadows jerking on the frosted glass. She nodded once and wrote. The kids howled louder. Would I cave to the noise, or let him carry this where shouting never could? The night manager led me to a back office that smelled like receipt tape and lemon cleaner, and pulled down a binder stamped property rules in brittle gold. She turned to towing procedure. Warning notice first, call list second. Tow only with proof and a signature witnessed by staff. I photographed the page and the metal sign near the cart corral that said unauthorized vehicles will be towed at owner's expense. The letters looked tired, but they were still the law. We walked back out together. The kids saw a name tag and tried theater, mock bows, fake whales, a boy clutching his arm like he had been struck by air. I kept my voice even. You are blocking egress. Move now. The driver smirked and spoke a line about free country, as if freedom were a crowbar. The manager slid a bright orange hanger under the wiper that read notice to move vehicle, then dialed the after-hours number for the tow partner and asked them to stage one truck nearby, in case refusal hardened. I opened my dashcam app, so the lens looked out across my hood and left it recording. A red dot blinked like a metronome for patience. Artifact row grew. Procedure page, wiper notice, stage tow call, rolling video, and a fresh incident sheet where the manager wrote today's date in careful loops. I did not crowd. I stood where the camera saw both cars and let time do the heavy lift. My phone buzzed with the patrol callback. An officer logged our location for a sweep and reminded us not to argue intent. The driver stepped in so close his belt scraped paint and whispered a dare only he could hear. I kept my eyes on the orange tag and the dull gleam of the tow number. Would they peel it and flee, or double down until a badge filled the doorway? Theater buys minutes, process buys outcomes. While the sedan idled, I emailed the property management address on a small plaque near the entrance and asked for written tow authorization tied to this lot and this stall line, with blank spaces for dates and signatures. Their auto reply promised business hour action, so I added city muscle to the stack. I opened the municipal portal and logged a complaint for repeated obstruction at this location with photos attached, then requested fresh curb paint that spells out no stopping across the apron and a patrol window during weekend peaks. The portal returned 2 case numbers and projected windows. I screen captured both and saved the files to a folder I named Lot Receipts. Artifact pile. Tow authorization request, city case receipts, curb paint request, folder index screenshot, plus a short audio memo I recorded to remember names and times while adrenaline still buzzed. Back in the lobby, the manager pointed at a dusty sandwich board leaning behind a mop bucket. In small letters, it said no blocking fire lane or doors. We dragged it to the curb and faced it outward under a light so a phone could see it, then snapped our own photo for the file and wrote the bulb number in the corner in case we needed maintenance to brighten it. I added one more page to my stack. A 1-paragraph courtesy note addressed to whichever driver blocked our stall last night, inviting them to reply with an apology and a simple promise not to repeat. One fare off-ramp. In writing. No social media theater, no names. I printed it at the in-store kiosk with a timestamp in the corner and slid it into my folder without sticking it on glass. The first squad car rolled in slow, blue washing over buggy racks as if the night were rinsing itself, and somewhere a cart will clicked like a metronome. Would a warning end this? Or would we need the tow and the paint before the lesson held? The cruiser nose edged up, and the alley of headlights felt cooler by a degree you could measure in shoulders. An officer listened, asked for the photo and the policy page, and walked to the sedan. The driver tried outrage, then charm, then the shrug of a comic who has built a bit around other people's patience. The officer tapped the orange hanger and kept his voice plain. Move now or be cited and possibly towed under the store's agreement. Dashcam recorded the exchange. The manager's incident sheet grew a second line in tidy block letters marked witness names, and the exact minute ticked off the wall clock. The kid sniped about free speech, and the officer did what training teaches, translated mouth to motion. Keys. Shift. Go. The sedan wobbled out and nosed into a legal stall, a small miracle written in turn signal amber. No cheers followed. The store lights hummed. The ice machine coughed, and the night thinned at the edges. The officer took my statement, wrote the report number on a small card, and told the manager how to email video with the subject line tied to that number so the clip would not vanish into a queue. I photographed the card next to my earlier shot, so the images married, and saved both into lot receipts. Artifact column now read. Dashcam clip, incident log, report number, warning recorded, signage photo, and a still of the orange tag under the wiper. As the kids slunk toward the doors, one boy hissed a word he would not say in front of his grandmother. I let it pass. Enforcement is not revenge, it is maintenance. The officer asked if I wanted to press for a citation. I looked at the courtesy note in my folder and shook my head. Off-ramp once, I said. He nodded and wrote compliant for now on his pad, while the red dot on my dashcam faded to black. Would a written promise land by morning? Or would we be repainting curbs before the week was out? Morning brought emails instead of adrenaline, and the thin sunshine that makes asphalt look honest. Property management sent a signed tow authorization specific to our lot and shared stalls, with a clear 3-step ladder. Hanger, call, hook, plus a reminder about photos before and after to protect all sides. The city docketed our paint request and scheduled a sweep by bylaw officers during evening peaks for a month. The message carried a small map with highlighted zones and a line about fresh stencils arriving with the crew. I printed both and added a fresh sheet titled Stall Etiquette that the manager agreed to post by the cart return. Short, polite, and plain. The kind of sentence even a hurry can read. Then a reply hit my inbox from an address that looked like a parent's, not a teenager's. The writer apologized for the group, explained that the sedan was a shared family vehicle, and attached a one-sentence note signed by the driver promising not to block access again. They also asked whether they could make amends by stacking carts after dinner for a week so staff could close faster and go home before midnight. I forwarded the apology to the manager, wrote accepted in the margin of my courtesy note, and asked the officer if a warning could close on that basis. He agreed, and log compliance observed in the file. Relief arrived, but it shared a bench with doubt. A promise is wind until it becomes habit, and habit is what had trapped me by my own door. The paint crew was due before the weekend. The tow card still lived in my folder, and the folder lived by the door like a small shield. I taped a tiny note to my dashboard that read choose the ruler, not the hammer, so that when the next test came my first reach would be for the page. Would the apology stick when the lot filled and patience thinned again? The apology eased heat, but the plan needed screws, not hope. I wrote 3 sentences at the top of a pad, codify, brief, audit, and built the evening around them. First, I asked the manager to add a half-page addendum to the property rules binder titled Access Protection. No curbside handoffs when a car blocks doors. Orange hanger before any argument. Photos before and after. Call tow after a minute if refusal continues. She typed while I spoke and printed 2 copies. We slid one behind a tab called Enforcement and taped the other inside the desk where night staff sign in. Second, we ran a 5-minute huddle with supervisors. We practiced a script that replaces scolding with steps. You are blocking egress. Here is the notice. Here is the tow partner. Please move now. Third, I created a small audit. A clipboard labeled lot receipts where staff would staple any notices, photos, or report numbers from each week. Artifacts lined up like safe tools. The access protection addendum with today's date. A phone photo of the posted stall etiquette. The signed tow authorization. a screenshot of the city patrol window, and the one-line apology signed by the driver. I added one more page for resilience, a neighbor compact with the 2 storefronts that share our curb, trading phone numbers for quick pings before anyone reaches for a horn. The liquor owner wrote her cell in tidy numbers and drew a star by weekend nights. The bakery next door promised to shoo off idlers during pre-dawn prep. On my way out, I taped a second sandwich board at the lane mouth with an arrow toward legal stalls. The asphalt still radiated the week's heat. Kids in hoodies drifted past and glanced at the bright O of an O stopping like it might bite. I slid the folder closed and set my phone to auto-upload the day's packet to cloud storage so that copies lived in more than one room. One line remained to test the system, a quiet round trip to the lot, alone, after midnight, the hour when signs and memories get ignored. Would the rails hold when the crowd thinned? Just before midnight, the lot changed temperature the way a room cools when a door opens. I parked 2 rows over, killed the lights, and watched the traffic settle into its weekend throb. A rideshare rolled up and stopped across the apron, hazard lights winking like a cheap apology. The driver waved a hand, 1 minute, while a passenger dug in a trunk for an invisible treasure. I walked with the sandwich board to the curb and pointed at the letters. "Do not block doors. Legal stalls to the right," I said, keeping voice and posture flat. He tried to protest about being quick. I offered the laminated script instead. "Notice, tow partner, please move now." He sighed, circled, and tucked into a stall under the light. I photographed the apron as it cleared and added the shot to the cloud folder under a tag labeled Night Test. Inside, the manager clipped tonight's orange hanger to the lot receipts clipboard and initialed a short line that read "Warning issued. Driver complied." On cue, the bylaw officer's patrol car eased through, paused long enough to read the stencil, and wrote a time mark in his yellow pad before tipping 2 fingers from the wheel. Artifacts kept pace. A photo of the apron under sodium light, the clipboard line with initials, the patrol time mark, and a quiet 5-minute huddle note that said hazard flashers do not suspend bylaws. A delivery van nosed in later and tried the old shrug. The clerk inside lifted the counter sign without a speech and pointed at the arrow. The van rolled on. I tested the neighbor compact. One text to the liquor owner when a pair of loud tailgates opened on the curb. She stepped outside and reminded them delivery happens at the corner, not in front of doors. Their laughter deflated like a beach ball losing air. I stayed until the hour thin enough to hear cart wheels tick and a fridge motor hum. The lot felt boring, the way good rules feel when they fit. Would the calm survive a rainstorm crowd and a bad temper on wheels? 2 nights later, the weather added chaos. Cold rain hammered the awning, headlights smeared into ribbons, and the lot swelled with short tempers. Half an hour to close. The white sedan glided back in as if testing the paint. 2 new faces inside, and a grin in the rearview. He nosed halfway across the O again, and reached out the window to flip our sandwich board onto its face. I stepped to the line the stencil drew, and held up my phone, so the camera saw plate, paint, and the board in one frame. "Notice to move," I said, placing the orange hanger under the wiper with the same patience you use to set a glass on a table. He smirked, whispered a dare that fogged the air, and tapped his hazard lights. The clerk inside lifted the counter sign. The manager dialed the tow partner with the file number ready. I hit the officer's non-emergency speed dial and said simply repeated obstruction, refusal, hanger in place. The patrol car arrived wet and unhurried. The officer wrote a citation under the awning, then walked the sedan to the tow hook while rain drummed on the clipboard. He offered one last off-ramp. "Move now and the citation stands, but the hook does not." The driver refused. The truck did its quiet work and pulled the sedan clear, just far enough to hook clean. The driver's words climbed and thinned. The rain did not care. Artifacts piled in the dry. Citation number on a card. A phone photo of the hanger before the hook. A tow receipt with time and location. And a short email to property management summarizing the removal with attachments. A bystander muttered that it seemed harsh for a parking squabble. The officer answered without looking up. "Doors are for people, not egos." The tow lights wheeled toward the street. The lot's noise reset like a room after someone closes a window. I filed the receipts in the cloud and in paper. Would the next test arrive as a rumor instead of a bumper? An email full of titles and threats? Consequences arrived like good maintenance, boring, repeatable, and signed. The sedan's owner wrote from a corporate address, with the word compliance in the footer, acknowledging the citation and the tow, attaching a field conduct reminder that bans waiting across private doors, and thanking the store for documented steps. Property management posted a laminated stall etiquette at the cart return and a second copy inside the office door. The city crew came back between showers and rolled a brighter coat on the stencil, so the O and the P read clean even in puddles. Bylaw extended weekend patrols for another 30 days and emailed a short log template managers could fill without leaving the counter. We ran a 5-minute staff drill at twilight. How to place the hanger, how to speak the script, when to call, where the clipboard lives, who signs the line, and taped the 4 steps above the phone for new hires. Artifacts in the folder now read like a constitution. Addendum page with inked initials, laminated etiquette, patrol schedule screenshot, citation copy, tow receipt, compliance memo, and a neighbor compact with 2 phone numbers and a star on weekend nights. The liquor owner added a line at the bottom of her memo that said no handoffs at the door, period. The bakery wrote a 2-word sign for pre-dawn, no idling. The hinge of habit shifted. Customers started parking in legal stalls without being told. Teenagers learned orange tags are not props. Supervisors stopped wearing grooves in their molars. One clerk told me that closing smells like lemons again instead of rubber. I printed a 1-page alley and lot playbook that folded to pocket size. Courtesy first, bylaw next, enforcement last, receipts always, and left a stack by the time clock. Walking to my car under a strip of sky, I touched the folder's spine and felt the raised label like a small guardrail under my thumb. Would the calm hold through the holiday crush? Or would we need one more clip on the rail before snow and late shoppers tested the line? I keep the folder labeled lot receipts on the shelf by my door. Spine out where my hand lands with the keys. Inside sit dull pages that turned a taunt into a process. A photo of a bumper drawn across paint. A store policy page with a coffee ring on the corner. An orange hanger that creased and kept its color. A citation stub that felt heavier than it looked. A tow receipt pinned behind a laminated etiquette. And a compliance memo whose plain language did more than any speech I could have given. The point was never to humiliate teenagers or make a stranger's night explode. The point was to make doors work for people who have groceries, kids, walkers, and 2 jobs. Revenge, it turns out, is a room where rules sing on contact. Courtesy first, then bylaws, then enforcement with a witness, and documentation that survives opinion. Mirror the bad impulse, a dare to block, with a better rule. Offer one fair off-ramp in writing. Reveal receipts in the right room. Keep the circle small so no one needs a stage to save face. And when the hour is late, choose the ruler, not the hammer. On the cold nights that still wait at the far end of the lot, I listen for the cartwheels tick, watch the stencil catch headlight at an angle, and feel the small hum that comes when a habit finally chooses a better groove. If the paint fades, we will roll it again. If a new driver tries the old shrug, the script will be where it always is, above the phone, in a clear sleeve, ready for a voice that keeps calm. That is the only kind of victory that has lasted for me. The kind that stays useful for the next person who steps into the same place, tired, with a bag of oranges and a receipt that says time. What would you add to this playbook so a crowded lot stays human? Clearer signs, tighter patrol windows, a faster tow ladder, or a neighbor text chain that works after midnight? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss the next story.